A long requested video that I'm going to put out today is how to build Heath. What stats to prioritize, what mythic gear sets to go for, and how we use them. You end up liking this video? Hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell ding ding thing so you know when I post a video. Let's go, baby. Heath is our new assassin summoner, the most recent one that's been put out. I must say he definitely needs a little buff. He can hit hard, but if you don't kill somebody within the first couple seconds of a match, it's really hard to turn things around. He is a PvP specialist that doesn't feel like a PvP specialist. There is a specific way to use him though, and I'll talk about that shortly. Let's talk about his elements. One of the strongest ones he has is fire. Heath can apply a bomb on his first skill. Heath has 2 skills on his second, but the best one to go for is Backdraft. It will root the enemy he targets, transfers all the harmful effects on that target to everyone around, and then will explode bombs. You can literally nuke someone off if they don't have immunity, plus spreading all debuffs around. And then when that bomb explodes, stunning the target, his third skill will do 50% more damage if the target's under a CC effect. So the rotation for fire is first skill, second skill, third skill. The only problem with this is it's fire. The enemy can bring water units to destroy Heath pretty quickly. Water Monkey King, for example. Second best element in my opinion is Dark. When he crits, he will apply a block harmful effect removal, also stuns as well. His second skill has a cool gimmick of concentrated attack. Your team members will target the target that you attack with this skill, unless your allies are provoked or whatever. It also has a high chance 70% rate to fear enemies around. This is actually pretty useful. This is the only element that has a defense down for Heath, and it's only for PvE. He lacks debuffs pretty much on every element. That's why he's probably the worst PvE summoner in the game. And his third skill is kind of like Argon or Rinha. Does more damage the more harmful effects it has. And if all 3 hits crit, it will ignore Endure, which is good. Next is Light Element. Light Element is good because it's a neutral element for 1. B, you can remove 1 beneficial effect from a target. You can steal mana on his second skill if you attack a summoner. Will also apply a bleed. These should be 100% rate, honestly. And his third skill can airborne enemies, and he does more damage the more buffs he has. If Heath has 4 buffs, it will do unrevivable damage, which can be useful in PvE and also PvP if you bring the right team comp. For example, if you have the Moon Set gear, you have someone on your team with Shield Rune, and you have somebody like Water Beast Monk or Rahul, with their legendary artifact, they will apply 2 buffs to Heath, making that a total of 4, and he can actually nuke a Samath without his passive going off, which is really good. Next, the Wind Element. This is his sustain element. He has lots of drain. He can remove buffs. His other wind skill, you really need good support to use this. I prefer the self-attack buff and the buff removal. And his last skill, the lower HP he has, the more damage he can do. And a portion of his damage can ignore shields and invincibility. But if his HP is high, it actually decreases his HP. A lot of his skills need a rework. And lastly is Water. Now, Water evolves around evasion, which was like in the beginning Heath's whole gimmick. It's not bad, especially if you use recoil formation and you really don't have like any other frontline units. Heath will be in the front line. You can use recoil formation. It gives himself a shield, removes all his debuffs, and then gives him a sway buff. And when he evades, he decreases the cooldown of his first skill and third skill, which the third skill and first skill all revolve around more damage the more evasion he has. Again, you can also have unrevivable damage, but the enemy needs to have blind, which is on his first skill, probably going to get cleansed anyway. I mean, just give him guarantees. Let's talk about his passives, because these are important on how you use Heath. First of all, Persona, when he is in shadow state, he gets movement speed up, crit damage up, he accelerates his own skills, and when he evades, he can increase his mana. That's where the evasion comes in again. But it's at a 5% rate. It's not high enough. Shadow Art is where he gets his shadow state. He starts the battle with Shadow State. When you dodge with his evasion skill, he gets Shadow State again. And if the evasion skill is full, every 20 seconds he'll get Shadow State. That was added for Challenge Arena because you don't control your summoner. I'm going to show you how to use evasion skills and how to use Shadow State. He gets damage dealt up by 15% if you use a skill after another skill. You have to use it within 4 seconds. Here's where more evasion comes into play, defense mechanism. He gets accuracy up and damage taken down. There should be more to this. Another passive that I think is stupid is Final Strike. If all of his skills are under cooldown, if he uses his ultimate, he'll do damage dealt up by 15%. This is another manual thing that you have to know how to use HEATH with. When his health is below 30%, he gets skill acceleration, drain damage. He can switch weapons in PvP quicker. The buffs that he gets are actually extended, which is a nice passive to have. And then when he takes lethal damage, he gets Shadow State and Endure. Now I go over all these passive because it's very important on how you play HEATH. But if you want to maximize and optimize how much damage you want to do with HEATH, what you're going to want to do with HEATH is use your evasion skill first. This will give you Shadow State. It only lasts for 4 seconds, so you have to be aware of your surroundings and what you're going to plan to do. Also, when you use a skill, you have to use another skill within 4 seconds to get that damage dealt up. So really the best thing to do in Brawl is you dash in, use your first skill, use your second skill, and then use your third skill. That gives you the maximal damage that you can do as HEATH. And then you pretty much run around until all of your skills are off of cooldown. Go in, burst, get out. If you want to be truly elitist and optimal, you dash in, use your first skill, use your second skill, use your third skill, and then you dash out. Because Shadow State gives skill acceleration. You can also dash out, and Shadow State significantly decreases the threat. It's the chance of being attacked by an enemy and being targeted. It's kind of like a fade from like World of Warcraft Priest, if you know what I'm talking about. And then in terms of your ultimate, the combo is dash in, use your first skill, use your second skill, use your third skill, and then you use your ultimate. Because your ultimate does more damage when you have all of your skills off of cooldown. After the ultimate, you just dash out with evasion again so your skills accelerate. In my opinion, HEATH should have like 4 to 5 evasions over the other summoners because how his skills and passes and all this gimmick works. But this is HEATH in a nutshell. For World Boss, you can either use the light weapon or you use the wind. Light weapon HEATH is kind of like Water Phoenix and Maris. The more buffs you have, the better damage you do. Or you can go wind for the strip. He has a buff removal to get rid of that crit res. His wind ultimate also removes 2 buffs. And he's got damage drain, which you know there's a lot of damage going on in World Boss. But really for PvE, you really just go the strongest element. It's really hard to make a good team comp when using HEATH. This is why I personally picked Lima as my light and dark Nat 5 free choice. He needs a buff. He needs more debuffs. He needs to bring more to the table. Survivability wise, I'm okay with. He's an assassin. Just give him more offensive debuffs so I can make better team comps. Challenge Arena is probably the hardest for HEATH. A lot of different reasons why. Mainly it's his passive with the Shadow State. He gets it for the first 4 seconds of the fight, which is actually really surprising if he can even walk and get to an enemy within those 4 seconds. Like our monster's movement speed is way faster than HEATH. Now I still have Shadow State now, but it literally just went off. Mi Ying just killed that Thessarian. That was all Mi Ying. That was not HEATH. HEATH came in and did 1 skill maybe at the end. But you'll see that I don't get Shadow State for another 20 seconds. Shadow State either A, needs to take longer, or B, there needs to be some other way to be able to get it. GG. Brawl and Battlefield is kind of like HEATH's specialty. For his current build anyway. Because you can dash in, use your skills, dash out. But he doesn't have like a defense down or anything like that. So it can be difficult at times. Especially when it's all knights and supports that are super tanky. And let me bring HEATH into a horrible root team, which root is a whole different debate. But I wanted to showcase what root can do to HEATH. because it doesn't just keep him in place. It completely silences him. I am bringing Wind Dragon Jameer here just in case I can win, but hey, we'll see. But let's go in, try to kill this Orbia. Probably won't, but that's okay. Because my Shadow State is gone, I'm not going to do any damage. But let's just wait for the root. And as you see behind me, let me move out of the way. Eee! I'm silenced. I can actually auto basic attack here, but I can't use skills. I'm down for root doing what it's supposed to do, root you in place. But if I can basic attack someone, I should be able to use my skills on that target too. But anyway, let's talk about how to build Heath. I just want to point out real quick, my attack is kind of low. And that's because I have a defense % main stat in my bracelet. But I switched from Cleave to Heath. And I had this gear when I swapped over. I have not been able to get a Moon Legacy set with attack %. But anyway, this is how you build Heath. You want to prioritize at least 90% crit. If you can get 100%, perfect. It's obviously going to vary from when you go to different weapons and everything like that, right? Like Wind, I have 99% crit, but the Dark, I have 88%. But I'm at 400% crit damage. However, because of Shadow State, you don't really technically need to build to 400. You can build to 360% crit damage. But personally, I don't like to do that just because of how Shadow State is currently, especially in Challenge Arena. You only have it for 4 seconds and then you get it 20 seconds later. But ultimately, all the substats you really want is right here. Crit damage, attack, crit rate, and evasion. I would highly recommend just going for those 4, at least until you cap out on evasion. Then you can like switch in for HP or defense. You are a glass cannon nuker that's gonna go in, kill someone, and get out. Or go in and get rooted and silenced and just stand there like an idiot Oompa Loompa. Let's talk about weapons and gear. For weapons, I highly recommend Elite Tree of Heroes, which is the Hero's Power Dagger. This increases your damage by 15% when the summoner attacks with an advantage attribute. I would recommend this on every single weapon in my opinion. So that means for the sub weapon, go with the Tree of Heroes Power Wrist Blade. You need the 2 set to make it work. Gear wise, let's just start with Season 1. Season 4 is about to come out, and when it does, Season 1 gear will be gone. So if you don't have a Moon set or a Sun set yet, I highly recommend to get one. You never know. But honestly, Moon Legacy set, which gives you immunity at the beginning of a match, that's never a bad option. If Heath ever gets a self-attack buff, then I would absolutely go with Annihilation Blade. But Heath doesn't, so don't go for that. And the new season gear. Skywings increases the crit res of all team members, which is really good this season. And Abysmal Gaze increases the team members' damage dealt with dots. If you want something for this season because it's easier to obtain in hero raids, go for Skywings. But personally, right now, in my opinion, none of the raid gear is the best for Heath. Craft the Boiling Waterfall gear to 4 set. This will give your summoner damage dealt in arena, battlefield, and siege battle by 8%. It also increases your monster's damage too. Like I said, we are trying to do as much damage as possible, as fast as possible. But overall, in my opinion, I love playing Heath. This is the kind of character that I usually always play. A dual-wielded damage dealer. However, he extremely needs a little bit of change. A little bit PvE, a little bit PvP. I know it's in the works, and hopefully it all works out. That's it for today's video. This is how you build Heath. This is how you use them. Let me know if you're maining Heath. Let me know how you feel about them. And as always, if you end up liking this video, sub, like, ding ding bell. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.